been a really long time. Not really, not that long. It's been about a month, and this has been actually a bad problem with me doing it once a month of doing a video. I know I need to be more consistent, which I will be, since the fact that I got a beautiful ring light, which I finally invest in because I think it's necessary. Obviously, it makes me look a little bit better looking. The room's brighter. My background's not the greatest. I haven't decided a spot for my story times for right now. We're gonna stick in my bedroom because I think it's super simple and cute, and eventually there will be stuff on the wall, but I'm still moving in, so it's gonna be a kind of a slow process before you guys see some stuff, but I will occasionally move around to like make it interesting in different spots. So we're gonna get into the story of the time where someone duplicated my keys. And we're gonna talk about a little tiny story in the beginning, kind of following towards this story that why maybe there's a possibility of someone duplicating my keys. So let's just get into it. So we're gonna talk about the time where I had a little get together with some friends, and I did this once in a great while with a couple good friends. We would all hang out and we would drink, and at my apartment where we're safe and just have a good time. And I'm gonna call my friend at the time my friend because she's not really a big part of this video, and there's really no necessary of making a name for her. At the time she was just my girlfriend, and I had my boyfriend, which I'm gonna call him my boyfriend. But there was two other people. We're gonna actually put names on them because, to be honest, I can't even remember their names anyway, but I'm just gonna make up names for them. So these people were more, my friend had met this other girl. I don't know how they met, but they were friends, and I guess she wanted to hang out, and she kind of was like, hey, can I come over? And she was asking my friend if she could come over. And obviously she talked to me, and I was like, yeah, sure, I don't mind. Like, normally I'm not really, that's fine. She can come over. But I guess I found out that she was gonna bring a guy over with her. And I was kind of like, okay, whatever. I don't want her, I get it. She doesn't want to come alone. Totally understandable. You can come over and you can bring your guy friend over, blah, blah, blah. And that was kind of the end of it. We started drinking, my friend and I and my boyfriend, we're all drinking and just having a good time. It's been about an hour and we haven't heard anything. Out of the blue, they knocked on the door and like, okay, come on, hi. And everyone was like, they're all cool. They all walked in. So I'm going to call the girl that is my my friend, friend. I'm gonna call her Brittany. I don't even know what a good name. I'm just gonna call her Brittany. I'm hoping that's not her real name. I don't think it was, but I really don't fucking remember. So I'm calling her Brittany. There's a lot of Brittany's in the world. Then we'll call the guy, Bob. I don't know. I can't think of a good name right now. My names are awful. I always think of people's names and I'm like, okay, I'll use that name. And I'm like, wait, I can't use that name. So anyways, Brittany and Bob come on walking in. I have never met these people in my life, but my friend, my girlfriend, knew that, or at least knew the girl a little bit, I believe, or something. I'm not really sure. I don't recall. Whatever. But anyways, we all started talking. It was like pretty simple and chill. We played board games. We were drinking a little bit. And the guy was a little iffy. I'm just gonna throw it out there. He was a little different and weird. But at the most part, he was just being kind of flirty and just being like overly nice to like me especially. And I really didn't catch on because I don't usually do that. I think everyone is like, I'm naturally a kind of a flirty attitude myself, so I just don't really catch on when people do it. So I just think they're just being extremely nice or something. So anyways, I didn't get anything out of it. We were all hanging out and stuff like that and just drinking. And he kept talking about the Navy or the Army or something type of line with military, or I don't know, something in that line. He kept mentioning it. Like, it was something that he really was like really passionate about and something that he's done in the future, or not the future, in the past. Wow. Something he'd done in the past and he was really proud of and all this stuff. But he kept talking about things, and it was getting to the point where it was kind of annoying, and there were certain things he was talking about were kind of weird. And to be honest, I couldn't tell you exactly what he told me, but my boyfriend at the time was telling me like this stuff doesn't make any sense because my boyfriend has a brother that's in, I think, the military. I can't recall which one he's in, and so he kind of knows like the gesture towards it, and this didn't really add up, at least in his knowledge. So it made kind of no sense, but he kind of blew it off like it was not a big deal. And anyways, he kept going on about it. This guy, Bob, wouldn't shut up about it, and he kept, every time he possibly could, we talk about it. And he was like telling, I believe there was one time he was saying that he was using these benefits towards, like, he would go into the restaurant and say that he was from like the Navy or whatever, and you can get like discounts or free food. And I guess he was using this in like, I don't know, it was really weird. He was telling like little things like that kind of situation. And obviously I was drinking. I was like, cool dude, like, you do you, like, I don't care. Like, I wasn't really like paying attention. But I noticed that my boyfriend, I think my friend kind of was like, what the hell? So I'm gonna mention though too, Bob brought, obviously, Brittany came with Bob, and they were like best friends, and I guess they knew a lot about each other and stuff like that. I mean, they were best friends, they knew each other for a really long time, and I think Bob had a crush on her, but she was never interested. She just liked him as a friend, and they were just like chill like that. It was never like anything else. There's a friendship. But I don't believe she was drinking at all, because I think she was planning to go home and she was just gonna take him back home. But she wanted to socialize and just hang out with some people instead of just being at home or just hanging out with this guy or whatever. I don't know. I don't know her life. But so she wasn't drinking. So I think she was looked like she was just kind of like brushing off his conversation completely and just talking to us. Mainly like my friend and me, like, and the boys would kind of just like talk or whatever by themselves or whatever. And I feel like I'm saying a bunch. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to remember this whole like night. So anyways, we all decided randomly after a couple hours of hanging out and blah blah blah. So we go outside and they were smoking, and I don't really smoke, but I just went outside just to like follow them because I didn't want to be alone, because the guy decided to sit inside the house, and I was kind of like, I'm gonna go outside, like I don't want to hang out with you. And I don't know why. I don't think I said that. We're all hanging out. I was feeling really good. I was like buzzing. And I am over 21, so this is like not like a underage drinking thing. I feel like I should like let people know, just on the safe side. I'm sure hella people do it. I'm not gonna say I haven't done it, but I'm not saying you should do it. You know, that's on you and your parents or whatever. But so we all walked outside other than this guy, and I didn't notice it. I thought he was just hanging out and drinking or whatever. And the lights were off. I feel like I should have mentioned this. The lights were all off. We just had like a few little lights, like a couple like pretty lights, just to like, you know, like we're just hanging out, listening to music and playing games or like drinking. I think when we got later in the night, we stopped playing games completely and just started drinking and dancing. It was kind of like the whole vibe. But when we all walked outside, the lights were dark. It was like dark inside of my apartment. Everything was like closed up and stuff. And it was just the living room that was kind of lit up just a little bit, just to make it nice and peaceful and just like, you know, a chill night. Explaining that 100 more times. But so anyways, while we're outside, this guy was inside my house, and I didn't even really think about it because I walked outside being kind of messed up and drunk, wasn't really paying attention, and he was by himself in my home, and I really didn't know this guy. So it was like, I guess my boyfriend was keep kind of an eye on him, because I've told him this, like people have stolen from me and stuff like that. So I think he just naturally were keeping an eye for my safety and like, or not my safety, but my things, I guess, safety things. I don't know what I'm saying. For my things, more like. So, anyways, I guess to check on what he was doing, because it seemed like they were doing something. I think it was my boyfriend or it was my friend. I cannot remember who it was, because like I said, I was really messed up and I really wasn't paying attention. So one of them kind of looked inside my front door and noticed that this guy was like walking up and down this hallway with his flashlight. And like I was saying, the whole house is dark other than like the living room. It had like a couple little lights on just to make it nice and peaceful and like fun and stuff, like we can enjoy ourselves. Not have like this big spotlight with a bunch of lights on. It was just like unnecessary. So he was like walking up and down my hallway, looking into my room and my son's room and the bathroom. He was just making it really weird, and he kept doing this with his flashlight. This is how my boyfriend was explaining it, and my friend was a little bit, and they thought that was really odd. And I was like, why doesn't he just turn the light on? Like, and I kind of like, he was doing that for, anyways, my boyfriend came back up to me and he was all like, hey, this guy's like looking at like going through your house with a flashlight. And I was like, what? And I was drinking, like I've said like 100 times, and I wasn't really paying attention. I was kind of like, okay, that's kind of weird. So I kind of went up to the door and I was looking in because I was curious what the hell they were talking about, because, you know, it wasn't just my boyfriend. I think my friend kind of mentioned it too. She's like, yeah, he's like looking at your stuff. And I thought that was kind of odd. So obviously I checked it out myself, and he was still doing it. Like, he didn't notice that we were looking at him. Like, on the front door, I have a little apartment, so it's not like a big obvious thing. Like, he would have noticed us looking. So it was really weird. He would go in, he wouldn't even walk into the rooms. Like, he would go to the door and have the flashlight and like look up and down, and he would walk over and do the next room. And it was like, I feel like he kept doing it because he was in there way too long, like unnecessarily too long. And then I think he was mentioning that he heard something. Like, he was paranoid or something, or maybe he thought someone broke in, which makes no fucking sense. I mean, like, maybe, but it just seemed a little weird to me, and like, why didn't you just turn a fucking light on? I don't know, maybe there's something to it, I have no idea, but it just seemed really weird, and it didn't seem right. So anyways, obviously that night I think we did kind of confront him on like, what are you doing, like, can you not do that, like, just, I think I even mentioned like turn a light on. He's like, oh, I heard something. And he was acting like really like sketchy, like something was like happening, I don't know. So I was like, I don't know what was going on. Obviously I was still drinking, and I think the night kind of went on to the most part. They went home after like I think another hour or so to most, because I was kind of weirded out. I don't think it was even an hour. I think they did decide to go home because Brittany wanted to leave, and Bob, I think, was starting to feel like he was getting kind of messed up. Obviously, I think we can kind of tell like he was being weird and paranoid or something. So they decide to leave. And so fast forward to the next morning, obviously being hungover, I think we actually started messaging Brittany, my friend, and I. We all kind of were talking, and I guess, so what was going on, and this is what gets really weird. So I don't really know Brittany. We did actually connect a little bit at the, like, our little get together and stuff like that. She was really sweet and like caring like that, and she did mention some things, I believe, at the party, or whatever you want to call it. And she did kind of mention the fact that he was always like, he had this big thing for her and stuff like that, and now she didn't really like him, and she didn't, you know, she wasn't for him. She just wanted to be his friend and blah blah. And he was kind of really persistent on trying to be with her. And so obviously that was part of when we were partying and stuff like that. But then we started talking, and I think my boyfriend was mentioning how the fact that it made no sense how he was saying that he was from the Navy. I'm just gonna say the Navy because I cannot remember, or the Army or military or whatever. And so Brittany actually told and said that that was all a fake, and he really isn't in the Navy or military or whatever at all. And it just like this big thing to make him look good, and he was trying to impress me apparently. And because he had like a thing for me, and which was kind of odd. I don't get that. How do you like someone else and like I don't know. He's obviously a big fat horn dog, but so he was trying to impress us, I guess, more like. And I think he's been doing this for a long time, because she was mentioning that he keeps talking about things like this, and obviously he's never been into the Navy or military, whatever. I feel like I have to keep saying that. I'm just gonna say Navy, okay? So he kept mentioning it, but I guess he's been doing this for a while, and she just kind of been putting up with this shit for a couple years. I guess they haven't been like that close of friends. I think their friendship's only been like a few years. And I think we actually we might have messed up their friendship, because after she told me that, and I was like, are you serious? He's lying about something like that? And she's like, yeah, I'm kind of sick and tired of it. She pretty much was like kind of done with him as well. Like she knew that this is like kind of like, this is too much for her. I guess I think something might have happened after she went home with him, or she dropped him off at home and she went home because she was driving, because she wasn't drinking. And I think he might have came on to her too strong, and she was like, I can't handle this. And maybe that was a big like breaking point for her, which is a good big possibility. I don't know how it went down, but she was pretty much more than happy to tell us what was really going on, and the fact that he was lying about everything. So because I couldn't handle the fact that he sat there and lied to everyone, and the fact that he's been going on and doing all this shit, like getting free meals and like saying that he is, and having people salute to him, and all this like unnecessary messed up shit, which he should be actually in jail for, because I know it's like a crime, I believe. Sorry, my legs are like so cold. It's cold in here. I'm so sorry. Anyways, so I confronted him, because I think he was actually trying to hit me up, like saying how I was pretty and all this, and like wanted to hang out, and I was kind of like cool, like being friendly at first, and I was like, you know what, like, and then I kind of made the conversation towards it, and I was like, so what are you talking about this, and and I pretty much confronted him that he was a complete liar, and he's like, well, how do you know, like. And I was like, well, you don't have any proof. And I was giving him these, like, I know there's these things you say in the military. I'm not really positive what I'm even saying now, because it's been like a couple years since this happened. But I was like telling him all these little things, and he wasn't answering. He was very defensive, and it just didn't make sense. And obviously we already got confirmed by his, like, one of his really good friends that he was a complete fucking liar. So he was just mad, and I just blocked him. I think he might have blocked me, or I blocked him. I'm not really sure what happened, but he was pissed off, and he was being like a complete asshole to me, because he obviously is fucking a liar, and he couldn't admit to it. And I just think it's so fucking crazy that you go to that extreme to make yourself look good, but then on top of it do all these things. But so obviously, I don't remember who blocked who, but he was being super defensive, and obviously he was a fucking liar anyway. So we're gonna pass along with that story. So this story does kind of play part towards what happens. At least I believe it could be. So I'm gonna get into what happens with my duplicating of my keys. So I think maybe a few weeks later, maybe not that long, I haven't had any other get-togethers because I only did that occasionally. It wasn't really a big thing for me, unless I actually went out, which is only once in a while too. But nothing came along of people coming over after. Since that incident, I kind of didn't really want people over at my house as much, so I wasn't really like having people over. And so anyway, so past couple weeks or so, I got a knock on the door, and it was my maintenance guy. He was all like, "Hey, I found your keys." I'm like, I looked at it and I looked at his key. I was like, "That's not my keys." And I was about to like close the door. I was like, "My keys, bye," like, you know. And he's all like, "Yeah, they're yours." And I'm like, "No, they're not," because the keychain was like, the Packers, I think. It's like a football. I'm pretty positive it is. I don't watch football, so don't get mad at me, but I think it's a football team. And it had like the Packers, like it was like those chains you put over your neck or whatever, and it had like little cheek canes. What is like keychains? Why am I saying cheek canes? Keychains. Had a bunch of keychains on it, and then obviously had some very similar keys of mine, and then one that didn't really look like mine at all. But anyways, he was like, "Yeah, this is definitely your key," and I guess he must have checked beforehand, because he was like, I guess if the keys were just laying on the in the bushes not too far from my apartment. And I guess he was just checking ahead of time, because they all have spare keys, obviously. And I guess he realized it was mine, so that's why he knocked on my door. And I was like, "These are not my keys, like, at all." And he's like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Go ahead and check." And he even checked my door and it opened. And I was like, "That's really weird." And he's like, "Well, does anyone else have your keys?" And I'm like, "No, not at all. Like, I live alone, so, like, obviously, no. Like, no one has any other spare keys. I'm the only one that has a spare key, and it's in my car, just on the safe side. Like, that's literally it, and no one else would have been in my car. So I only have one spare key, and it's only for my front door. So, like, it's not any other keys. It's just the one key in my car. So it gets, yeah. So anyways, this keychain contained every single key of mine. It contained my front door, my main lock door, and my mail key door. Is that the right term? I don't know. My mail key, and there's only one for that, but it had all three, and they all fit every single one of them. And I was like, "That's odd." And I was like, maybe it's a coincidence. Like, that can't be right? It's like, and we checked. So I was thinking that it could be a weird coincidence. I know keys can't all be like so obviously they have to be a little bit different in some levels, but I know keys can be kind of similar. So anyways, sorry, I'm losing my thought. I literally keep losing my train of thought. So anyways, I was like, this can't be a coincidence. Obviously, there's something going on. We even checked my neighbor's door, so I was just curious. I'm like, "Can I just check your door?" And we actually tried to unlock it, and it didn't work. So I was like, this can't just be like one of the situations where the keys are very similar. It has to be someone literally has a spare thing of my keys, every single one, not just my front door, but my mailbox too. So I thought that was so scary. So the maintenance guys took the keys to the landlord, and I was like, okay, I'll call her and see what's going on and see what she's gonna do next. Anyway, so they pursued just to change all my locks. This is on the safe side. Obviously, we were already planning on doing that. So change all my locks, and I was like, okay, good. At least that's settled. So I talked to the landlord, and I was like, okay, so what's next? And she's like, well, there's really nothing else. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, these technically aren't your keys. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, there's another key on it that obviously must not be yours. So I talked to my landlord, and I was asking, so what's next? And she was just saying, like, obviously these are not your keys. You even said they're not. And I guess there was another key on it that was a P.O. box key, and I definitely don't have a P.O. box at all. So it was like, definitely that wasn't mine. And obviously they're not my keys. I mean, they might be similar to my keys, but they're not my keys, like, in general. So unfortunately, there was really nothing I could do. And I was like at a point where I was really uncomfortable. I mean, yeah, everything's been changed, but like, someone duplicated my keys, and it makes no fucking sense why. And like, I was like really confused. So I decided to call the police station just to get myself a little bit like more easy. Maybe there's more to it. Maybe my landlord was being ridiculous, because I was like, this is not right. Like, she's seriously like just gonna let this go. and I couldn't even grab the keys on my own too, because they're technically not my keys, and the fact that it has a P.O. box key, so I was like, that's not fair. Like, we could find out whose these keys are from this P.O. box. Like, exactly, we could find our source, like, so easily, and it pissed me off so much. But so I called, obviously, a cop, and I was like, hey, and I was kind of slightly explaining my situation. They're like, okay, we can get someone to call you back in a little bit to talk it over. And I was waiting for a call, and out of the blue, a fucking police officer came to my pulled up on, because I was outside being all anxious and stuff like that, and he pulled up in my driveway, and he's all like, are you Ashley? And we started talking, and the police officer was so nice. He's super polite, and I explained everything, and all he said, it was like, well, has anything been stolen? Hasn't called back, but he decided just to come to my house and talk, so it made it really more extreme. And so we were talking, and I was explaining the situation, and he was like, okay, that does sound weird. And he was saying the same thing, like, maybe it's like one of those coincidences where it's just like a dupe, like, it's the same key to another person's door. And I explained to him that we tried it on another door and it didn't work. I didn't try it on multiple doors because, like, I don't have, like, you know, it's other people's neighbors. I can't just be like, hey, can I just, like, try to open your door? Like, I only did to one because they were, like, actually people that are, like, a little bit of my friends. They were really nice and stuff like that, and they were cool with it completely. So, but I didn't try a bunch of people, but he was thinking that could be a possibility. But then the fact that these keys were literally the same for every single door, like, the fact that both my door locks and my mailbox just seemed a little bit fishy and just didn't seem right. And then he mentioned, he's like, well, we can't really pursue with anything unless something's been stolen or someone's actually broken in or came into your house. Have you noticed anything different? And I was like, no, not really. Like, at least nothing I was looking for. Like, everything was like, nothing's been stolen, never seen anything different. If maybe like something was stolen, like a pair of like socks or something, I wouldn't have noticed. So I mean, it's always a big possibility of something gotten stolen, but maybe it was small and maybe they knew, I wouldn't have noticed. I have no idea, but I never noticed anything different. No, so I don't know. So yeah, I didn't notice anything different. So anyways, they couldn't do anything. He's like, well, there's really nothing we can do. And I'm like, is there a way I can get these keys back? Because I'm pretty sure I could probably find out who these keys are. Because, like, there's a P.O. box. He's like, unfortunately, you can't even touch those keys. They're not yours. And I'm like, wow, that's, like, crazy. But, yeah, so the cop really couldn't do anything, unfortunately. He was really sweet about it, though. And he's like, I'm so sorry you have to go through this. Like, that's really unfortunate. And, but anyways, the actual landlord noticed that I had a cop in front of my apartment, and she was like, kind of seemed like she was concerned, and she came up, she's like, is there everything okay, Ashley? I'm like, yeah, I just want to talk to a police officer because I don't feel comfortable. And she's like, oh, I understand. She's like, if you need anything, let me know. Like, she was like kind of like a little anxious, so I don't know what that was about, but yeah, there was really nothing I could do, unfortunately. So I did talk to the landlord one more time, and I was like, is there anything I can do? Like, this, I just feel really uncomfortable with the fact that someone went out of their way to literally duplicate my fucking keys, and I don't know what for. I mean, they could have had plans to steal from me. Maybe they accidentally dropped the keys. I have no idea. There's no answers. And all she said is that they still have the keys, and they just have to wait until someone eventually comes and picks them up. And I don't know, a couple months went by, no one still has. I haven't checked on it for years now, and I think she's probably threw them away, because I think a certain amount of time she just throw them away. So, but no one came forward, which I don't expect it. Like, obviously you would have been in trouble if someone duplicated someone's keys, so someone coming forward would have just been a stupid idea. So maybe they intentionally dropped them, maybe it was an accident, maybe they had so many more intentions with these keys, and I don't really think it was purposely. I really think it was by accident, because the way it was landed, the maintenance guy was saying that it was kind of like in the bushes, but like not really, like you could tell that it wasn't like intentionally stuck in the bushes. It was like kind of the outside of the bushes, like it was like someone was walking by and it fell or something. So it was just so weird, and unfortunately I never found out who did this. And I always had my thoughts and feelings that this one guy did it, and maybe he was so mad at me, and maybe I had the plans, originally planned to come in and steal hella shit or something, and that could have been a big possibility. I have no idea. His weird like attitude was really like, it kind of makes me think twice. Like, I think this guy really was intentionally trying to come back and steal a bunch of stuff, maybe for this girl, maybe for Brittany or whatever, because he wanted her to love him or whatever. I don't know. There could be so many things. I mean, it could have been anyone. I do have like I do have a laundry room, and I have a key for my laundry room, and I've done situations where I've left my keys on the door a couple times, And I mean, that could have been a possibility too. It could have been anyone. And it's one of those situations you don't really notice things. Like, I mean, I'm pretty good with my keys, so I feel like there's only a few people that it could have been. I mean, it could have been my friend for all I know. Maybe it was my boyfriend. My boyfriend doesn't like the Packers, but I don't know. Maybe it could have been anyone. I have no idea. And unfortunately, I'll never know. Just won't. But that is my story. Yeah, someone duplicated my keys and I still don't know why. But I hope you guys liked my story. This was one of those stories that I actually totally forgot about and recently just thought about, and I was like, this is a great story to talk about. I really hope you guys like it. It's something that is like kind of serious out there and it could have gotten a lot worse. I'm really happy nothing else came out of it and we found these keys ahead of time, because I mean, things could have been like obviously turned out worse. So kind of blessed on that level, but never experienced, and definitely wasn't something on my bucket list that wanted to happen like crazy. I'm like, wow. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Bye.